Hello students, welcome to the second segment on 12 night. Here we will be discussing the full significance of the alternative title and then the character of Orsino. What is the alternative title of the play? It is Or What You Will. Sometimes it's to some extent reminiscent of the title of As You Like It. Or What You Will would translate to what we say today as whatever. Now, why whatever? The alternative title, you must remember, also focuses on a very important element of the theme of 12 Night, something that would be doing a great injustice to the play if we omit or if we ignore. The theme is the fact that it is not a comedy for everyone, as I've told you the other day. As I was telling you, it was not a comedy for Malvolio or for Antonio either. It's a comedy for the majority, though, of the upper class majority. But people belonging to the fringes, whether the economically not so well off Malvolio, or whether the person with a different sexual orientation, Antonio, for them it's not a comedy. So it's whatever. You may take it anyway, belonging to where you stand, belonging to your own perspective. That is perhaps the idea. See, the very title itself and the very alternative title actually bears a little bit of the uneasiness that the play actually has very much in its texture. Now, after discussing the implication of the alternative title, we'll come to the character of Orsino. Orsino, the name Orsino is actually, historians have found out that in 1601 there was a Duke of Bracciano who actually visited Elizabeth, and perhaps on the 12th night, the day of the private performance of the play, the Queen actually ordered Shakespeare to write a play to amuse the Duke, whose name was Orsini, Orsini. So perhaps it was because of that the name has been given as Orsino. Anyway, Orsino is undoubtedly the central male character in the play, the romantic interest as well, but he is not as romantic as he believes himself to be. He is suffering from substantial self-deception. As I told you, self-deception is a very important element of romantic comedy, of a typical romantic comedy. And Orsino also suffers from very substantial element of self-deception. He has modeled himself off over the self-image of a lover in contemporary romances. He has fallen in love with the idea of being in love, not so much in love with Olivia. And he is deeply engrossed by that. You must remember that he is the Duke, and he has a lot of social, moral, and political responsibility. We hardly, at the beginning of the play, when we actually meet Orsino, we hardly find him, caring for any of his responsibilities. He's only thinking of love. He is philosophizing on love. All his soliloquies are on love, on the power of love. We can see a bit of unsteadiness as well in his character. He is humorous in that he likes a strain of music and in the next moment he doesn't like it. When his when his nobles come and when his messengers come and tell him that it's impossible to pursue Olivia's hand, we can see that he is a die-hard optimist. He never leaves any opportunity to miss out any chance, or he never accepts defeat in any way. He tellingly reverses the Actaeon myth. Actaeon myth was a very popular myth in those days, and Shakespeare, who must have read Metamorphosis in his grammar school days, refers to it many times in his plays. And I'll also explain what this Actaeon myth is. In Ovid's Metamorphosis, there's a story of Actaeon who voyeuristically spied upon Diana, who was bathing naked. And Actaeon was out hunting with his hounds. Actaeon was immediately turned into a hart deer, and his hounds couldn't recognize him, and they all pounced on him and tore him into pieces. In a wonderful and in an extremely poetic and a very romantic way, he reverses the Actaeon myth by pointing out that he himself was Actaeon after he first saw Olivia, and from that moment onwards he is being pursued by his own hounds, which are his passion for Olivia. He looks very much like Silvius. You can recognize characters in Shakespeare which are very much like Orsino. He looks very much like Silvius, looks in the sense that he behaves in As You Like It, or in Valentine in The Two Gentlemen of Verona. And sometimes, like every psychologically unsteady person, he actually has bursts of emotion. I'll give you one example from the text. When he is almost certain that his pursuance of Olivia is of no avail, he proposes to, and I quote, "Sacrifice the lamb that I do love, to spite the raven's hurt within a dove." The exterior of a dove, and this is how he describes Olivia. Olivia has the exterior of a dove, but deep inside, the heart is that of a raven. And he will, almost like Isaac, who sacrificed in the biblical context his eldest son, he would sacrifice the lamb that he loves extremely, Cesario being that lamb. Of course, Viola gives a telling answer, which also contains an innuendo to this. But what he is doing over here is there's a burst of masculine dominance and violence, but he is also tacitly acknowledging, of course, not very knowingly, that it is Viola whom he loves so much. It is Cesario who is that lamb, the lamb to be sacrificed. Now, he is so deeply engrossed in his love, in his self-image of the romantic lover, that he completely forgets the fact that Cesario is so responsive to him. But you see, somewhere the chemistry is working, we can see, despite the disguise. However, Shakespeare's plays always see some kind of restoration of order, and the character of the Duke is restored at the end. How do you know it? The way he treats Malvolio, or better, the way he asks others to treat Malvolio. And this sometimes makes him come closer to characters like Prospero, like Theseus in The Tempest and A Midsummer Night's Dream. respectively. What does he say when Malvolio goes off the stage saying that he will revenge on the whole lot of you, on the whole pack of you? The word pack is significant because to Malvolio, it's not human. The people who were against him, the people who had tortured him so mercilessly were not human. They were a pack of wolves. So Malvolio leaves the stage for the last time, avenging, vowing revenge on the whole lot of these people. He actually sends a messenger, sends one of his attendants to Malvolio and asks that someone pursue Malvolio and entreat him. I'm quoting almost directly from the text. Someone pursue Malvolio and entreat him to a peace. What does that suggest? Obviously, he is now that he has gone beyond his deceptions, now that he has been able to overcome his deceptions, he is now, to some extent, restored to the position of a duke. Now, there is one thing you must keep in your mind when you are studying the duke's character. He is a very endearing person, and it is because of his extreme sense of dedication that Cesario is so closely drawn towards him, Viola is so closely drawn towards him. But that dedication is towards a kind of a love which is meaningless. It's not love, it's a kind of an infatuation, or at best it is a kind of infatuation with the idea of being in love, not having any proper object of love. The Duke also represents a very important aspect of the Renaissance figure, which is love for music, which is love for gardens, which is love for the bower, which is love for romantic engagements, and also ultimately becoming somewhat of a wiser man, coming out of the warps of deception. We'll end this segment over here. In the next segment, we'll be studying the character of Olivia. Thank you.